Hello, Dr. Ginger. It's so nice to have you on the show today. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Excited to be here.
Beautiful. And thank you so very much for being here. You see, I truly appreciate you. And you see, Doctor, oftentimes I love to thank my guest for two things. And I do this so often to the point where it has become my hunter. So, firstly, Dr. Ginger, I want to say thank you so very much for investing in yourself. You see, you are on this platform right now because you did invested in yourself. And oftentimes, Doctor, I love to make reference to the amazing mango tree. You see, some couple of months back, I was on a particular road, and just by the roadside, Doctor, there was this very tall, unattractive mango tree. And I used the word unattractive because the mango tree's got no mangoes on it, and the leaves never all dry. So I just walked past it and I went my way. But you see, Dr. Ginger, just recently I was on that same road. And this time around, a lot's changed about the mango tree, you see. The mango tree caught my attention pretty good from a distance. And immediately, Doctor, I got the urge to move so close to it, of which I did. And it wowed me because now the mango tree's got a lot of mangoes on it. Beautiful green leaves and healthy branches. And not just mangoes now, Doctor. I'm talking about ripe mangoes. It was such a lovely experience that day. And I was so excited. Here's my point. The fact that you dedicated your time, energy, and resources to becoming the amazing Dr. Ginger that you are today, that alone has made it impossible for me to skip you. And that's why you got the request from me to be on the show because I was attracted to the fruit of all that you're doing. Your philosophies, your insights, your journey, the impact your work is having, Doctor, and how you are offering your solutions. These steps are beautiful. So I've got to say, thank you for doing that to yourself. And secondly, thank you for saying yes to the invite. Because if you had said nope, there was nothing Elisha could do about it. Thanks so much, Doctor.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for that analogy. That was really good. And it's always good to have the encouragement. So I appreciate that.
All right, beautiful. And thank you for being here once again. So let's get right into it. You see, I am quite excited to have you on the show today, Dr. Ginger, for a few reasons. Firstly, my interest in knowledge seeking. I believe in order for one to transition from a terrible situation to that of a beautiful one, Doctor, I believe it takes the application of knowledge, quality information, and not just knowledge alone, but the application of it. And you say, Dr. Ginger, ever since I discovered that light in the Hebrew means knowledge and darkness ignorance, I've been so keen to knowledge seeking. Why? Because I do not want to remain in the dark. So that's going to make our conversation today very important to me and even to the listeners. And the second reason why I'm excited to have the incredible Dr. Ginger on the show is for the sake of the audience. You see, Doctor, we live in an age where information is as abundant as grains of sand. We've got lots of information flying out there. So these folks trust me
So true.
for quality, eye-opening, and very important information, of which I am totally convinced, Doctor, that our conversation is going to be insightful and impactful. So, for that reason, Dr. Ginger, let's get started with your introduction. Talk to us about your personal or your professional journey, because right now we are so curious. Want to know how Dr. Ginger got here? Then afterwards, I've gotten some beautiful questions for you. Okay, Dr. Ginger, over to you.
Okay. Yeah. So I am a chiropractor and I specialize in functional. I got a certification in functional medicine. I went to chiropractic school. That's where I met my husband was there. I originally went to chiropractic school because I wanted to help people like most of us chiropractors do. And I really wanted to help in the sports medicine field. And so that kind of married those two together. And then after we got out of school by divine appointment, my husband and I started a brick and mortar practice in a small town outside of St. Louis. And I did sports medicine for a while. And then after some difficulty, God blessed us with children. And so that changes a lot of things whenever you have your perspective and time and priorities. And so after I had my second child, my health, like I said, I struggled getting pregnant. I was having some health issues, but then after two pregnancies, my health went from bad to worse. And there was just no energy. I had had no energy. There was just debilitating brain fog. I really had a hard time connecting words and putting sentences together. There was total insomnia. There was no sleeping, lots of all over body aches, lots of joint pain. And through trying to, we had to figure out what was wrong, what was going on. So through trial and error, through lots of prayer, through lots of research in that process, that's when I got my certification in functional medicine because I felt like what was going on with me was deeper than what I knew. And so I really started searching for deeper truths and deeper meaning. And so that's how I got from chiropractic and then into functional medicine. Then I was diagnosed with through that process of figuring out what was going on, I was diagnosed with chronic Lyme. And that's kind of where I came. Excuse me. That's how I got into learning more about how the body works in deeper levels and how I came through to be here.
Well, thank you for all you're doing, Dr. Ginger, and sorry you had to go through all of that. And the beautiful part of it is the fact that you're using your experiences now to help others. And that's so beautiful. So I wanted to ask, while you were talking about your health journey, what scripture has anchored you the most in your health journey?
Yes, it's one that I state often. It's Psalm 139:14 that you are fearfully and wonderfully made.
You're fearfully and wonderfully made.
You're fearfully and wonderfully made. We in chronic illness, in a darkness, in that darkness that kind of you were talking about earlier of chronic illness, when I was really at the lowest point, I was wearing, like most women, wearing lots of hats. And I was a wife and I was a mom. I was a stay at home mom and a homeschool mom. So there's lots of hats just in that. But we also had our office. So I was a business owner. I was a chiropractor. I was still seeing patients. I was a tutor at our co-op that we were doing for homeschool. And in every single one of them, I felt like I was failing. The checklist never got shorter. My energy never replenished. And most nights I just collapsed in bed feeling like the people that I love just deserve more of me. And it was then at that moment, by God's grace, He opened my eyes and reminded me, you are fearfully and wonderfully made. I knit you together in my mother's womb. He has precious thoughts about me that outnumber the grains of sand. So it was there in the weakness, in the brokenness and all that I couldn't do, that all that I was, that He had created me to be was always enough.
Amazing. And thank you for sharing that. So, what would you say to a woman who feels like she's feeling everyone around her?
Gosh, there's a lot I would want to say to her for sure. But I think the first thing that I would say is that a lot of times that we're stuck in the chronic illness because on the inside we feel unsafe. We feel like we're always running from a bear. We're stuck in this fight or flight. We're wired and we're tired. We hear all of those things and we don't feel safe. And that can be mentally, it can be emotionally, it can be spiritually, chemically, physically. We don't feel safe. And in order to get unstuck, to move forward with your health, to feel like you're enough, we need to be in this rest and digest state because that's where deep conversations can be had. This intimate relationship with the Lord and hearing from Him can be. Now, like He did me, I was in a state of fight or flight, but He, by His grace, came in and pulled me out of that. But if we can switch and be intentional to switch from being in the fight or flight survival mode to into this intentionally being into this rest and digest and be still with the Lord, then that's where healing can start. That's where healing begins because we cannot heal if we feel like we're always running from a bear.
We cannot heal if we feel like we're always running from a bear. I got that. That was well said, Doctor. So, I discovered that there are some women who they believe rest is selfish. What would you like to say to people like that?
I think that I hear you. Is what I would like to say. I see you. I hear you. Me too. That's how I felt. But when we understand how the body works and we understand that it's physically impossible to heal and to get better when we are always doing and always helping and never working on ourselves, that we can't move forward in our health. We can't be the best versions of ourselves to help someone else. And here's an example. So when I have two daughters, one is 12 and 14 now, but at the time my oldest daughter was 4. And it was in the darkness of that chronic illness. And in that, there's a lot of frustration, there's a lot of irritability, there's a lot of just confusion and a lot of emotion. It was angry emotion. And I don't even remember what it was now, but she had done something. She's 4. Okay. So she had done something that I didn't like, or I was trying to discipline her, and it was a reaction. And I remember looking at her face and she looked terrified. Like there was this monster in the room. And I looked at her and I was like, what is wrong? Why are you so upset? And she's like, Mom, you're scaring me. And that's how she felt. She really felt like there was a monster in this room. And it was at that point where I realized that the chronic illness and me not taking care of myself and doing the things that I need to do for me to be strong and me to be healthy was impacting my relationship with my daughter in a huge way, where she was terrified of me and didn't want to be around me. She didn't want to respond to me. And that's a really scary place to be. And it's a place I know moms don't want to be. We don't want our kids to be scared of us. We don't want to be remembered as being the mom who's sick and angry all the time. But I will say that kids are so loving and they're so forgiving. And I was able to go back to her and just apologize to her for that. And she was really quick to forgive. And I'll say now, 10 years later, she's 14. And 2 weeks ago, she came to me and said, Hey, Mom, can we just have a date with just me and you? And she's wanting to spend time with me and wanting to do things with me. And so I was able to kind of reconcile that relationship. So it's not one, if you're in the chronic illness and you're stuck and you're not working on yourself, that your kids will think that forever. It can change and it does change, and we have a great relationship now.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that, Doctor. Wow. Thank you for sharing that. So we have two more to go. Okay. So let us talk about marriage and support. All right. So how can spouses better support loved one facing health challenges?
Yeah, I love this question. I'm so thankful that the Lord knows what he's doing all the time and
Right.
putting two people together in just like such a great way. I have a couple things I want to say about this. One is to the women and one is to the men. And I'll just say to the men, I see you, right? They are wired to fix, right? My husband is like, "Oh, we just need a tool, just this one tool for this one project and I will fix it."
Right.
And I appreciate that. And it is so true. And he can fix anything with the right tool. But chronic illness is a situation that there isn't the one tool or the one formula or the one thing doesn't exist to fix it. And that leaves men, I see it, helpless, right? Because they cannot they don't know how to help their wives that they love and that they want to them to feel better and be the person and the mom and the wife and all of this that they're designed to be. And it can really quietly destroy a marriage, not because there's not love, but this kind of stress and this kind of tension doesn't leave room for grace. It doesn't leave room for kindness, and it doesn't leave room for patience. And so to the man, I just want to say that it's okay that you can't fix it and fix her. It's okay. Sometimes just a hug will do it, right? A hug that says, I see you, I hear you, I validate you, we're going to get through this. Maybe it's just a hand on the shoulder. I see you, I feel you, I validate, we're going to get through this, right? It's not always the words. Because my husband literally, like, I was like, okay, I want you to say this thing to me. I need you to say this thing to me. I need you to look at me this certain way. I need you to say it with this certain tone. I need, this body language. And he would do it because
mm,
he loved me and he wanted to help me. And he thought, okay, this is exactly what she needs. This is what I'm going to do. And he would do all of that. And it wasn't enough. It didn't fill my need. And so to the women, I want to say, sometimes the things that we feel like we need are not for our husbands to give us. It's for the Lord to provide that. It's
mm,
for the Lord to provide the protection, that safety, that security that we need. And so if our husbands are trying everything, which most of our husbands love us well and are doing that, and it's not enough, that's not for them. That's for the Lord.
mm.
And so I think the best thing that Josh did was he let me be angry. He let me be frustrated, irrational. He didn't fight back because I think the quietness saved us because there was no big battles to come back and repair from. And I'm just thankful to the Lord that he gave me a patient man that chose to stay in the sickness.
Beautiful. And to God be all the glory. I got that.
Amen.
So, yeah, to bring this to an end, Dr. Ginger, for folks who are currently stuck in what you came out from, how do you help them? And what advice or insight would you like to give them to round up with?
Yeah, I think the one big thing that I haven't mentioned that I did terrible and don't do it the way that I do it, but is community, right? You cannot do this in isolation. That's where the enemy meets you and floods you with all of the lies, right? They get the loudest there. The negative loops run the longest there. And that voice that you're not enough, you're not important, and you're not significant, becomes really hard to hear really hard to ignore those things. And I think that community matters to find your people for you, the chronic ill, that is chronically ill, that's going through that, but also for that spouse. Because being patient, being still, being quiet, not trying to fix is hard. It's hard it's hard to move forward and help when you're helpless, when you feel helpless. And so that community, finding people who can see you, can hear you, can encourage you, to push you forward, to say, you're going to be okay, you are getting better, is vital for healing. We can't heal without it. And I tried for a long time to do that. And I think that it hindered my ability to heal effectively, efficiently. And it wasn't really until I started reaching out and asking for more help and doing more community that I really saw big shifts, big momentum in that. So don't do this. Don't do chronic illness alone. Find your people, get the support, get the encouragement, and those groups, again, goes back to that safety. You need to feel safe in that group as well.
Don't do chronic illness alone. Find your community, find your people. I got that. So to bring this to an end, Dr. Ginger, for folks who would like to reach out to you, learn more about the beautiful stuff you're doing, or maybe they want to ask you questions, how can that be possible?
Yeah, so the best place to find me it's called discoverhealthtraining.com. Every Tuesday, my husband and I do a live training where we talk more about regaining your energy, beating brain fog, getting to sleep again. And at the end, we always do a Q&A. It's live and we're doing a Q&A for that. And that's a really good place to ask questions, your concerns, figure out some really good next steps wherever you're at in your journey. So that's the best place to reach me. Again, it's Discover Health Training.
discoverhealthtraining.com. Got it. So that's going to be the end of the show, Dr. Ginger. Thank you for coming and thank you for sharing these things.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.